Started. So today's presenter is Ruth York from FY Idaho, and she's going to share a bit about the services that they provide and the regions. And Ruth, you should be able to share your screen whenever you are ready.
Okay, I will pull up at least my header slide and try and make sure we are good there. Put it in slideshow mode if I can. From current slide. Oh, it doesn't want to, oh, there we go. Okay. So good morning. I'm also going to take my notes. This is a very last minute presentation for me. But Chris reached out early in the week and gave me 6 bullet points that I could talk on. So I just happened to have this slide, some snippets from a larger slideshow. So I'm going to sort of go back and forth and combine these. But first of all, I hope nobody missed Tuesday, which was National Chocolate Milk Chocolate Shake Day. So I'm really hoping that you all got in on that action. My admin always tells me what day it is. And I had a great visit to Northern Idaho in June. And it's just so great to see. I just find my connections with Northern Idaho are so uplifting because there are just so many great groups of people coming together to make good things happen. And I have to say, a little more so than, I mean, Eastern Idaho does some great work. We do some great work down in Southwest Idaho, but there's just something about the way you guys approach issues up there that I'm really pleased with, like to be a part of. So FY Idaho, we were formally named, in case this name rings a bell to anybody, the Idaho Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health. We're part of a national organization called the National Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health. We changed our name in Idaho because the initials IFF that we were commonly called are used by another organization whom we do not want to be associated with. So we didn't like the confusion, and part of my reign at FY Idaho was to change our name. That stands for Families and Youth of Idaho. We like the FYI part in part because so much of what we do is provide information to people to help on the youth mental health journey. So you can see here the 3 main areas that we work in, and I'll tell you like who we are and how we work in these areas. Our advocacy for youth to get the mental health services they need, and for our state and communities to be aware of mental illness and the impact on youth and families, and to be compassionate in our approach to youth and families. We provide direct support. We run some youth programs, both in person and virtual. And we run a lot of, we have a telephone support line for families and a lot of support groups for families. Most of our family work is done by telephone or online because we can cover the state well that way. And then we provide a lot of education to various people all over Idaho, again, just to try and have people understand what is the journey of a family and a youth specifically who are dealing with mental health concerns. We have a contract with the Department of Health and Welfare to do these 3 areas of work, which just lines up great because these are the 3 areas of work we have always done. Let me move to, just so you know, our vision is to maximize the potential of all children. Oh, sorry, hold on, let me go back. Yeah. For full inclusion in their communities. So that's the ultimate goal for us, is that we are all families of youth who have had mental health issues. Our organization, the requirement to be a family-run organization, which is the designation we have in order to get funding, mostly from federal government, SAMHSA, but also the state looks for family-run organizations to do certain types of work. And that designation is that at least 50% of our board would be families, parents, grandparents, family members of youth with mental illness. And really, we usually run at like 80% of our board and 80 to 100% of our staff. this work is just best done by people who have lived experience in this area. I can talk more about that in a moment. Our mission is we're just totally committed to preserving, restoring, and improving the mental health of youth and their families. The youth mental health journey is very much a family journey. So if you have a kid who's struggling, then in some way there is a family struggle and a family dynamic that is harmed or possibly even harmful. And we're looking to interact with, intervene with families who are in that position and get them to the right resources which can help them. Okay, so our programs are nice and repetitive here: parent support, parent advocacy, parent education, and then youth support, youth advocacy, youth education. So let me just break them down for you for a moment. Parent support, and I indicated a little bit of this already. We have our support line. It's 5 days a week. It is not a crisis line, but it is 5 days a week, 8 to 5 essentially. And parents from all over the state can call us and say, this is my situation, this is what's happening in my home, or this is what's happening at school, or this is what's happening in the community with my child, and I'm not sure what to do. Usually they're calling us because they just are not sure where to go next. Maybe they've already tried some things, maybe they just have no idea. They're at the very beginning of their journey. So our job in that case is to listen. The great thing about having family members listening to family members is it takes a lot of the shame and blame out of what a parent is experiencing when they have a youth that has mental illness. Because the journey into the community, whether it be schools or grocery stores or wherever you are in the community, when you have a child that's not behaving as we expect and require children to behave in different places, is really difficult, right? I mean, my kids came wired not to say, oh, I'm supposed to do that. Okay, yep, check. Just not at all. And so it's a journey full of shame and blame. We do self-shame, we do self-blame, but we do receive a fair amount of shame and blame out in our communities and from our school systems. And that's what we aim to change. So we're a group that can take that off of a family's back during the time they're talking to us, because we can say, I've experienced that in my home. I understand where you are. This is a really terrible feeling. We've got your back. Let's get you some resources. A lot of the resources for us are, we're really experts in the youth mental health system, the YES system of care. And so we know how to help people navigate into that system wherever they may be. Do they need an assessment to enter the system? Or have they been in the system and now they've hit some kind of barrier or gap, or something's just they're not getting the services they need a new step and they're not sure what to do there. We're navigation support for that kind of situation. And then we run support groups for parents throughout our month. Sometimes we have specially themed groups, parents who have kids in residential care. That's a tough journey. Parents who have kids with complex diagnoses, developmental disability combined with mental illness. So those are some that you'll always get parents who are interested in attending those, specifically to be with other parents who are experiencing those things. But we also have some where it's just all comers, whatever's on your mind, come and let's have some support today. And then on the education front, we do a lot of educational events each year. It may be speaking to groups. Well, I would never build this as an educational event. The idea is that we go out and do things like this, but maybe of a larger nature, where we talk about what the experience of having mental illness is in a family with a youth who's affected, and what options there are. So we're trying to make sure people know where they can go in their communities for help, try to make sure they know they can call us for some one-on-one support. And then we're trying to educate lawmakers or providers, or across the spectrum of all stakeholders, as to that parent piece of it. Because when you can put your lens on what it's like to be a family or the youth themselves, it can be very helpful in how you approach whether you're legislating for mental health supports or you're a provider yourselves. Just having that lens as insight into the lens of being the family and the youth is a lot of what we do. We run some specific youth programs in Boise. So we started a partnership with Boise High about 3 years ago, and because we're only 2 blocks from that high school, and it's just become a model that we would really like to see replicated in other places in Idaho. So kids literally just walk down the street after school and have this safe space. That's essentially, what's the special sauce of our programs for kids who are stressed and want somewhere to go after school to help with a little decompression. It's honestly just creating a come as you are. All are welcome here, and engage in some specific activities with us, or find the thing you want to do in our space. We've got about 4 or 5 different areas in our little brick house. We're called the Boise Brick House, that kids can navigate to when they get with us. They can be in a quiet room. They can be in a game room with other people playing games. They can be in an art area. They can be in our kitchen. We do a lot of cooking, outside on our patio playing ping pong. There's just we try and make it sort of something for everyone. And we have a lot of supplies in our house where people can go sort of figure out, how do I want to engage today? And we leave it very youth driven. I think that's the other piece of the special sauce. And so kids feel in control there. And what we find is kids feel so out of control. I don't mean like I'm going crazy, I'm out of control, meaning lacking control. We give them a school day and we tell them what it needs to look like. And then in the home front, frequently we structure our lives. You will be home for dinner. You will be doing your homework. Hey, I want you on this team or that team. I mean, lives are there's a lot of must-dos for kids. And this is a place where they get to create for a couple hours in the afternoon. What do they want to make of this time? There's a lot of peer support that goes on. So we also have a group, and I was talking this up when I was in Coeur d'Alene recently, that's an online group called Youth Move Discord. So Youth Move, Move stands for Motivating Others Through Voices of Experience. It's a national organization. We run the Idaho chapter of it. And it's a place where kids can come online together on the Discord platform. That's just something I never heard of 2 or 3 years ago. And but every kid you ever know has heard of it, and probably many of you. And they come together. It's facilitated. So we always have a young staff member who's online, making sure the interactions are healthy. They can chat, they can share music, they can play games together, they can watch movies or shows together. It just seems to be offering a similar type of decompression as our in-person programs. But it reaches kids from all over, kids who can't make it to our space, or kids who prefer not to be in person. And then we have one other youth support program for kids who are struggling socially, who basically self-proclaim, it's not easy for me to be in groups. And so we've created a support group for kids who have sensory issues or some social awkwardness, and they just don't want to be in a larger space. And there's one day a week where they come together. And the leadership we are seeing among that group has been really exciting in terms of watching people blossom. So our youth advocacy is the youth themselves. We, of course, will advocate for any youth who has any barrier in getting to the types of services they need. But we tend to do that through our parent support line and with parents involved. Our youth advocacy is frequently developing these youth leaders through our programs and having them go out and create some awarenesses in the community, maybe talking at their schools, maybe talking to legislatures, attending various events where they get to bring voice to what they believe our communities need to know about the youth mental health journey. So it's always exciting to see kids taking on the journey, not just for themselves, but on behalf of other kids. And then youth education, again, we have various events throughout our year that are just targeted at topics that the youth tell us they would like to know more about, whether it's specific mental illness or it's how would I find services if I'm the one trying, and if my parents aren't involved and I'm the one trying to figure out what I have a right to in Idaho. I'm about to turn 18 and I'm nervous because I've always been at home and my family's created resources. Now that I'm transition age, what's out there for me? And so these are all topics that we can speak to. Okay, let's see. All right, I pretty much told you everything in there. So this part I've already done. That's the end of my slideshow, but let me look here. First of all, I'll take a pause and ask if anybody has any questions over what I just presented in terms of the specifics of what we do.
Ruth, I wanted to ask, what was the name of that Discord platform or the name of the?
It's called Youth Move Discord. You can find it on our website, which is www.fyidaho.org. I'll put that in the chat in a minute. And you go to our youth programs and you see everything that we have available. And we would love some North Idaho kids to take advantage of that. When we were up there having meetings, we talked to several groups. I remember probation was really interested in maybe this could be a good thing for some of their kids. Thank you, Mark. So yes, we would like to grow that. I think it would be great. And eventually the great thing about this Discord platform is you can just keep splitting off. You get so many people that it's like, all right, this is getting a little big to manage as one group. Hey, let's get a group. Maybe we divide them off by age, or maybe we divide them off geographically if they want to be, or maybe we divide them off by interest. So there's a lot that we can do with that platform.
Hi, Ruth. I'm sorry if I missed it, but what is the age range that you serve?
So I didn't even say that. So thanks for asking. Mostly 14 to 18, 18. It's a little tricky. We bring freshmen into our direct after school programs. So this is just our youth programs that I'm talking about now. A parent of a 3-year-old can call us. That actually happened yesterday. So we do get calls, all ages of the spectrum. We're going to talk to any parent who's got a concern. But our youth programs are actually provided for freshmen through seniors, so high schoolers. And then we do have, especially on Discord, some transition age kids, 18 to 20. They tend to be kids who've been in our programs who just don't quite want to let go, which is great. And so they transition to the online platform where we can have some older kids sometime.
Ruth, do you offer any services to the siblings of individuals that have mental health?
You know, we don't currently. We used to have, but before I was with FY Idaho, there was a period where they did, and it's always on my mind to get back to that. I think we probably will. The only way we've done that currently is if somebody's got, if a high schooler has a sibling who is a high schooler, then they can come to our program together. Like nobody has to have the official, well, we'd never ask, do you have a mental health diagnosis before you walk in the door? No, our program is for decompression. Anybody can attend. But that doesn't help a sibling who's really struggling with another sibling. And we've seen that issue. But we do reach out to families and encourage them to let us help them find some resources for their sibling if siblings are struggling. So I hope we'll be there soon, but we're not there now.
Great. And then I just wanted to share with you, as you plan to expand up here, if you ever need any support, like finding any locations to do any events or anything, we have some locations here at our facility, and I can also try to connect you with other people in the community if that's helpful.
That's super, because I really want to make sure that we have Northern Idaho more on our regular traveling schedule. Of course, we got shut down for so long, but took us a while after the shutdown even to get up there. And then once I was up there, I was like, we just must do more of this. And I think my board really agrees with me. So that's sort of part of our strategic plan.
Great. I'll drop my information in the chat for you.
Super, thanks.
David, go ahead. Looks like I have a question.
Yeah, thanks. not to be the downer voice, but it's more like a safeguard question. Because Discord is an interesting kind of platform.
Yeah.
What kind of safeguards do you have in place for, the intruder
Yeah.
kind of situation, but also level of conversation that might really
Yeah.
get to an unhealthy place?
Really important question, so that I can tell you that, first of all, we do not have an open platform. You have to get invited into our Discord space. And then our youth coordinator is monitoring all that happens on that platform. So we did have an example once of somebody just seeming like they were in a dark place. And so immediately we did a reach out to that youth and made sure that they were talking to some adults and getting some support. So we are aware of that. I think we have the intruder piece handled well. We always watch for what's the latest on Discord and what are the latest concerns and what are the latest ways that people are trying to figure out how to breach this. But we have a pretty strict way of identifying who people are and letting them into that, to our server. But thanks for that question. Anything else? I know what Chris asked were any challenges we face. Well, just 75 every day. Yeah. Collaborations and partnerships. We just couldn't be who we are without tons of community partnerships. We've got food deliveries into our youth program. We've got all kinds of community partners who come and do some programming for us, both on the parent side, online. If we're doing educational events of some sort, we might highlight programs around the state or other resources. So collaborations and partnerships are just a complete essential part of our existence. And the big challenge, we don't have adequate mental health resources in Idaho. I mean, every state's going to say the same thing. We advocate daily for the needs of especially high needs youth. The people that are underserved by our system the most, and the data proves this out specifically on the YES system, are the kids with high needs. We can get people to counseling. And I mean, it's hard sometimes, but when somebody is more crisis level and needs counseling immediately or needs something more intensive than that, depending on where you are in Idaho, it just simply may not exist. And it's just so heartbreaking to be on the phone with a family who's in crisis. And we have all been that family who's been in crisis without adequate resources before. So we know this drill. It's very scary. And we just do not have all the resources that we need in Idaho. I'm hoping that as we move to this new Idaho Behavioral Health Plan, and we have a new group coming into Idaho to take that plan over early in 2024. It's a bigger plan than we've ever had in Idaho. It includes inpatient and outpatient services. I think it's a tall order for anybody to really run a successful behavioral health plan in Idaho, just because we're all every state is faced with the lack of people to fill the positions. But the state is trying very hard. And it's a good news that they have a contract with a group like us, because they're willing for a parent organization, a youth advocacy organization, to be at the tables with them saying, okay, but here's what's happening. Here's the reality of, I love what you're doing, and here's the people who are falling through the cracks. And it's very hard for them to hear, but it's important to know that. So something just occurred to me that I wanted to add. Maybe I covered it, maybe I didn't, but that's sort of my song and dances. I think we're all trying really hard in Idaho. Obviously, all of you are trying hard, and but we are not meeting the need, and we're not meeting the need, especially at that really dangerous place that kids can get to when they're feeling quite desperate. which is why our youth suicide rate is way higher than it should be. And we really need some new creative ways of addressing that. And, you know, my big thing is I think youth and parents, they need connection. Connection is so key. And as we get all busy in life, connection can be something that sort of goes by the wayside. And I don't know if you guys have seen this article, but I'll just end on this little fact that an article was published recently that was done. It was a survey of mental health providers and youth mental health providers. And they said the number one thing they see in their offices that are stressing out youth are the expectations, mostly family expectations, but it's kind of societal expectations. I think that you're 5 and you better get on the soccer team now or you will never have a possibility. We don't even know if you're going to like soccer, but you got to start it and you got to stay with it a while because we got to know how good you are. And you know, just, you know, you got to start the violin too. And you got, you know, we as parents are running ragged and we're running our kids ragged. And the kids are really feeling that lack of being in the driver's seat of their life. And, you know, we can all talk about, well, how much should kids be in the driver's seat? But if they're not there a little, it can feel really out of control. And I think it's taking a huge toll on the mental health of youth.
So Ruth, I have a question about social media and online platforms. You know, you hear of it, how much it impacts mental well-being of all ages, especially youth. How much do you see of that? And is there anything that you feel like communities can do to help alleviate that?
Well, my take on it is it's not going to go away. So we need, but I think it has a very negative impact. I think much social media can have a very negative impact. Number one, the ability to bully, of course, which we all know about. That's just so scary. But also what I noticed in my kids are young adults now, but as they were teens and there was just some fears I didn't quite understand, was just the news feed coming into their phones is telling them what's happening all over the world. It makes them feel vulnerable. And I don't think we appreciate how much news our kids are getting, bad news about bad things that are happening. So I think the more we can put protective things, ways to engage online, the better, because I don't think we're going to pull kids off screens. We don't pull parents off screens. And so like, that's why I like the idea of the Discord platform. If we can have a controlled experience for kids online that we can make sure is healthy, they're getting peer support, they're being exposed to positive things, it's uplifting, then I can feel good about asking a kid to be online for an hour or two. I think if we could get more choices like that out there, we might find kids wanting to gravitate to some of them just for their own self-preservation of balancing all the negative that comes in that way. So that's kind of my take on it. I mean, I'm just a parent who's around a lot of youth through my work. I see the stress, and I think we just have so much negative that our kids are allowed to get to. And I think as parents, we have no idea. I think we have no idea how much they are being exposed to that we don't realize is playing with their developing brains.
Thank you. There's a question in the chat. It says, while you were in North Idaho, did you meet with the Coeur d'Alene School District? If so, do you recall who?
Let's see, did I meet with anybody from this? I don't think so, actually. I feel like we met with people who were doing things in the school district, but not specifically. Well, I'll tell you who we did meet with in Coeur d'Alene was all the nurses, all the school nurses from all over Idaho. And so there was a heavy preponderance of nurses from Northern Idaho and specifically Coeur d'Alene who were involved because they were having a conference when we were there and we spoke to that conference. So we felt like we were having a little touch with the school system that way, but no, we do not. And if you want to suggest people that we could maybe reach out to, we'd be more than happy to have more connections there.
Great. I think there's probably a lot of interest to collaborate in North Idaho, especially on this group. So I think there's definitely good opportunities there, and we'll try to make connections either through Chris or through United Way to
Great.
try and get something set up. But I think that's fantastic.
Okay, well, I appreciate what you all are doing so much, and thank you for letting me share some time with you today.
Absolutely. Any final questions for Ruth before we shift gears? All right. Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome to hang out and listen to us. We'll just do kind of a round robin. But if you need to hop off, we understand, and I appreciate your time and sharing.
I
that great
do. I'm gonna run to a conference downtown, but
right.
another time I would probably love to hear all that you're doing. Okay,
good.
thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Ruth.
Bye-bye.
All right. So next step is to just kind of share what's going on, any needs, concerns, upcoming events, things like that that you want to share. So just kind of an open floor.
Yeah, so this is Jennifer. We still have new students who are new to our area who are considered McKinney-Vento students. And one interesting thing also that I wanted to mention was that we were at Venture Academy yesterday, which is the alternative high school here in Coeur d'Alene. And their enrollment went from 130 last year to 185 this year, plus an additional 80 students online. And all those kids who qualify to be able to go to that school are considered at risk in one way or another. So we just are trying to get all those kids coded and reach out to them. But we just found that really interesting because the overall enrollment for the Coeur d'Alene School District is down this year, except for that school.
Wow.
Yeah, we're only 2 weeks into the school, so time will tell. It'll change, but anyway.
Hey, Jennifer, are you suggesting that enrollment's changed from the other schools to Venture? Or is there something else going on?
Well, that's overall. Venture still within our school district. So there must be something else that's going on to make the enrollment at that school increase, that high this year. So we're not sure exactly what it is. Well, like I said, it's just, 2 weeks into the school year. So we're still trying to get everybody coded, and we've been putting out a lot of fires and doing a lot of different things. So hopefully we'll, get a better handle on it. But
we're not really sure what's contributing to that trend, but
yeah,
it's new information.
Yeah.
So on our demographics.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Who else has something to share?
I'll go. With navigation over the weekend, we had our kinship day at Ramsey Park in Coeur d'Alene, and we had a great turnout. We had a lot of families and a lot of kids come and play and just let us, honor them for what they do. Our kinship providers are amazing. They are stepping up to the plate. They are keeping these children either with a close relationship type person or with a relative. And it makes such a huge difference on the child's success. They can be placed in the best foster home with the most caring and wonderful foster parents, but that foster parent doesn't know their history. That foster parent isn't able to say, your dad liked that, liked to fish when he was your age too. Just there's such a big piece of their life missing when they're placed with families that are not relative or kinship. So it was really wonderful to see. One thing that Jessica, who she represents the rep group, she's the contact person, and she has a meeting each month, and multiple families attend that meeting, but there's also a large number of families that are she's just a connection to that don't show up to each meeting. But she said that she has had about 100 of her families have to move out of the area because they can't afford to live here. And I pressed a little further to find out where are they going? What state are they going? And she said, many of them are moving across the border to the Spokane area, and unfortunately having to go into really difficult type neighborhoods, unsafe places because it's cheaper to live. And then she also said some of them are homeless, unfortunately have become homeless. So I don't know if that, again, that's just additional information that may be part of what we're hearing with Venture also, that it could be economy driven. I don't know. But anyway, with navigation, we still have our emergency assistance funding. We use that primarily to help families with rent and utilities. Our goal is to keep children housed. We still have career enhancement funding. And we use that funding to help individuals either secure or maintain employment. And then we do have kinship funding, and that's specific to those families that are raising children that are either a relative child or a kinship relationship. So if you know anybody struggling that have children in their home, I say refer to 211, have them call 211, ask for a referral to navigation. We don't expect everybody to know the ins and outs and whether they'll be eligible for funding or not. But definitely refer anybody that you come across that may be, because there may be other things that we can help them with also. So.
Right. Thank you. Who's next?
This is KJ. I'll just remind everybody that the Strengthening Families Coalition's Building Resilience training is this Friday and Saturday. I put a link in. You can just go to Eventbrite and type in Building Resilience. It'll come up. If you have any problems registering, because we've sold out and then people have canceled, then we've sold out and canceled. So opens and closes and opens and closes throughout the day. But if you have any problems, just reach out to me and I can get you in there. And it's going to be an awesome training. We have 17 subject matter experts presenting the first part of the day on what happened or what's happening, all the adversity topics, including poverty, ACEs, child neglect, et cetera, et cetera. And then the second part of the day is the what's strong and how to build resilience. And we provide 6 or 7 techniques to help build resilience and work with individuals experiencing adversity. We put them all together. So it's motivational interviewing and TBRI, healthy outcomes, positive experiences, stewards of children, hope is a science. I'm missing some. And then we end with trauma stewardship and mindfulness. So it's a great crew. It's dozens of agencies have been working on this. So if you haven't registered, I encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, KJ. I did want to share from the chat, David shared that the upcoming event is the Housing Solutions event at McEwen Park on Saturday, September 23rd, 10 to 3. There'll be different resources there. It's co-sponsored by NAMI CDA and St. Vincent de Paul. Who else has something to share?
I can definitely give an update from IHFA. So our wait list right now, as far as housing choice vouchers, is sitting, they tell me this morning, right about 18 months or so for standard preferences. We have our online application, which is completely open now, so they can apply online at the idahohousing.com website, or we can definitely give paper applications to people who come in, or if your agency wants to have a stack of them or something like that, just let me know, or I can email a soft copy. Just drop me a line. I'm still plugging away at the VASH program. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but this is service for homeless veterans. So the referral comes from the VA directly, and I do have the referral number if anyone needs it. And then those referrals come directly to me, assuming that they're eligible. So these are veterans who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. And then they receive a VASH voucher, which is the same as a housing choice voucher. It's just a different demographic that we're targeting there. The HPP, that's the homeless, actually, I think it's Housing Preservation Program. They changed what that stood for. It's still available for temporary help. The program to date, I think last time I looked, was it had administered about $103 million in emergency rental help to Idaho households to date. So that's significant. That's pretty big. The applications aren't here in our office, though. You have to apply online, again, through the idahohousing.com. And if anyone needs the direct link again, I can definitely drop that in the chat, or you can let me know. And we do have updated income limits and payment standards. Again, any agency who wants that information, just shoot me an email and I can give it to you. I think that's about it, though. That's a lot, but that's about it.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Any other updates?
I'll just come on and remind everyone that childcare scholarships are available through the United Way of North Idaho. Qualifying families can receive support to help make their childcare payments a little more affordable. An update with our childcare scholarship program is that we are not currently accepting families who also receive ICCP. That's due to some funding constraints. But if you have a family that does not receive ICCP and needs help with paying for childcare, please refer them to our program, and I will drop the link in the chat.
Great, thanks, Shelby.
I'll share an update. So Michaela with Early Head Start, we are in the process of moving buildings, and our Sandpoint building is going to be open on Monday. So we are having an open house from 11 to 2 or 10 to 2. I can check the time. And so if anyone is up in Sandpoint and they want to come see our center, and we generally have pretty good snacks at things like that, in case that's a motivator for you, I will.
Jelly-filled donuts?
I don't know, maybe we'll see. If there's a strong enough request, it might happen. So yeah, so if you would like to come hang out and check out our center, please do.
Awesome. I did want to share Vicky's comment in the chat, since she's having sound issues, that they're in their new facility, and on September 30th, they're having their annual event. She didn't put it in the chat, but it has some catchy name, something to do with tails. I don't remember what it is, but she announced at another meeting that they have a lot of animal surrenders. So there's at capacity in the shelter and lacking on food was the Tales at Twilight. Thanks, Vicki. So anyway, being a multiple time adopted pet owner, I encourage you to participate in that event. So, all right, who else has something? There's got to be more.
I have a couple things.
Great.
So just a reminder that next Tuesday, we have the True Charity Foundation's workshop. It's all day at the Kroc Center. We'll have breakfast and lunch. I think lunch is taco bar. So that should be yummy. And it will just be an overall all day workshop about poverty and some methods of helping people work through poverty and kind of move their trajectory in a positive way. I put the link to register in the chat for that. And then also for people who are on Charity Tracker, we have a training coming up October 13th. It's free. There's 2 times. It'll be at the Hospice of Coeur d'Alene. And I'm going to put that link in there as well to sign up for that if you're interested. If you're not on Charity Tracker, but you want to be, I'll put my email. You can reach out to me and I can get you set up, and then you can come to that training and it'll be good timing. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Allie.
Mark, I'll let you guys know, let everybody know that this is going to be my last meeting representing HomeShare. I'm going to be moving on to do something else, but our board of directors has hired Tess Reeser is going to be coming on as a program manager for HomeShare. I feel good about the infrastructure and our branding and the money we've left on the table and the matches that we've made so far. And she's just going to take the program and grow it from there. You know, those of you that work in, you know, Idaho housing, that, you know, these caseworker roles, you know, working in affordable housing, it's a lot of work. I respect and have learned so much from all of you guys that do this for a career. Geez. So thank you. And anyway, just wanted to thank you. And I'll be around if you have any questions.
Well, thank you for all you've done to get that started. It's
Yeah,
a great program that has immediate results. So,
yeah, it is a great program. I believe so much in it. I do.
awesome. Thanks, Carrie. Got a couple more minutes. Anybody else? All right, we'll give you back 2 minutes of your day to go color something with your favorite color or eat a jelly donut. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.